My tires crunch on the gravel as I pull up to High Ridge Retreat, the sound echoing through the silent mountain air. The 7-hour drive has left my back stiff and my eyes burning. 3 months of overtime shifts at the warehouse blur together in my memory, all those extra hours spent to afford this weekend. The cabin stands dark against the fading twilight. No welcoming lights. No cars parked in the circular drive. Just silence. Something cold settles in my stomach as I step out of my Honda. The mountain view stretches before jagged peaks painted gold and purple in the setting sun, pine trees swaying in the gentle breeze. It should take my breath away. Instead, I can only focus on the empty porch where my family should be waiting. "Hello?" I call out, my voice small against the vastness of the mountains. "Graham? Mom? Dad?" Nothing but the whisper of wind through the pines answers me. I climb the steps to the porch, my overnight bag suddenly heavy on my shoulder. The windows are dark. I cup my hands against the glass and peer inside. No luggage by the door, no jackets thrown over chairs. No sign that anyone has been here at all. My hands start to tremble as I dig through my purse for my phone. The screen glows bright in the growing darkness as I pull up Graham's number. Each ring stretches into eternity until his voice finally answers, casual and unconcerned. "Hey, what's up?" "Graham," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "I'm at the cabin. Where is everyone?" A pause, then a laugh that sends ice through my veins. "Oh, we went last weekend. Thought you couldn't make it." My knees weaken. I sink onto the cold wooden steps of the porch, clutching the phone tighter. "What do you mean last weekend? I booked it for today. I sent the text with all the details Friday, 4 p.m. I've had this planned for months." "Well, something must have gotten mixed up." Graham says, his voice still light. "It was great though. We've got photos. Dad caught a huge trout. Mom tried the hot tub for the first time." The hot tub. The one I paid extra for because Mom had mentioned her arthritis was acting up again. I sit in stunned silence, staring at the empty cabin that should have been filled with my family, with laughter, with the dinner I'd arranged as a surprise. "Renata, you still there?" Graham asks. "Yeah." The word comes out hollow. "I'm still here. Sorry about the mix-up. Next time, maybe be clearer about the dates." The call ends, and I'm left alone on the porch with the mountain darkness settling around me. My mind rewinds to 6 weeks ago, working late at the warehouse, using my lunch break to call the rental company. The $3,100 charge appearing on my credit card statement, cabin rental, hot tub fee, and the surprise catered dinner I'd arranged for Saturday night. I remember typing out the group text with careful precision. "Friday, 4 p.m., High Ridge Cabin, we all need this." And the immediate responses. "Mom, so looking forward to it." "Dad, finally some fishing time." "Graham, I'll bring the beer." "Delaney, can't wait, thanks Renata." My quiet pride at being able to give them this a beautiful weekend away from the stress of everyday life. A chance to be together, to reconnect, to be seen. With numb fingers, I open my banking app. I need to check something, though I already know what I'll find. I scroll through recent transactions, and there it is. A $1,050 charge from High Ridge ATV Tours dated last weekend. The card number listed is my old secondary card, the one I'd given Graham for emergencies only. My hand trembles as I zoom in on the transaction date. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a mix-up about dates. They went without me, on my dime. A memory surfaces, sharp and clear. Mom's birthday last year. I'd worked a double shift to get the day off, brought her favorite cake from the bakery across town. When I arrived, dinner was already halfway over. No one noticed when I slipped into my usual seat at the table. Graham was telling a story about his latest promotion, and everyone hung on his every word. Something shifts inside me as the pieces fall into place. The cabin's empty silence echoes the hollow space in my chest where family should be. "They don't see me at all," I whisper to the mountains. I stand, brushing off my jeans with hands that have stopped trembling. With deliberate movements, I walk back to my car, retrieve my laptop bag, and return to the porch. The screen glows blue in the darkness as I open it. It's time to see exactly what else I've been paying for. The motel carpet scratches against my bare feet as I spread bank statements across the bed 2 hours later. The roadside rest isn't much. Water stains bloom across the ceiling and the heater rattles like it might give up any minute, but it's better than spending the night in an empty cabin built for family warmth. My laptop screen casts a blue glow across the papers. Outside, the wind whistles through pine trees, a lonely sound that matches the hollow feeling in my chest. I've been at this for hours, tracing a pattern I should have seen years ago. I create a new spreadsheet tab labeled Financial Support, Family. The column headers stare back at me. Date, amount, recipient, purpose, repaid? My fingers hover over the keyboard before I type the first entry. The 14th of March, 2020, $950. Graham, due attorney fees. No. I remember the phone call. Graham's voice thick with false contrition as he explained how he couldn't afford a decent lawyer, how his record would be ruined, how he might lose his job. I had transferred the money before we hung up. The entries multiply as I dig deeper. The 3rd of September, 2021, $1,800. Delaney, emergency root canal and crown. No. The 17th of January, 2022, $1,400. Parents, water heater replacement. No. The list grows longer. Birthday dinners I hosted, Christmas gifts that stretched my credit card to its limit, the loans that were never mentioned again, the airline tickets I bought when Mom said she missed Delaney. My throat tightens as the total at the bottom of the spreadsheet climbs. $5,000, $8,000, $12,000. I sit back, blinking at the final number that glows on my screen. $14,357. More than $14,000 over 5 years. Nearly $3,000 a year given to people who went on a vacation without me on my dime. A memory surfaces, sharp and clear as broken glass. Last Thanksgiving, I had cooked for 3 days straight in my apartment. Turkey, stuffing, sweet potato casserole, 3 different pies. Packed it all carefully in insulated containers for the 3-hour drive to my parents' house. I was setting up in the kitchen while everyone gathered in the living room. Their voices carried, unaware I could hear every word. "Think Renata brought that cranberry stuff again?" Delaney asked. "Probably. She's got no hobbies, just a debit card." Graham's voice followed by laughter. "Well, at least she's useful." More laughter. Then my father's voice. "She does make a good pie." My mother. "She tries so hard, bless her heart." I remember freezing, the serving spoon suspended above the sweet potatoes. How the breath had caught in my lungs. How I forced my face into a smile when I carried the food to the table minutes later. I had buried that memory until now. My phone buzzes on the bedside table. Margaret's name lights up the screen. I hesitate before answering. "Hey," I say, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. "Are you okay? You never called back after your drive up to the cabin." Margaret, my closest friend for 15 years. The one who helped me plan this weekend getaway, who encouraged me to splurge on the hot tub package for Mom's arthritis. "They weren't there," I tell her. The words come out flat. "They went last weekend, without me, used my emergency card for ATV tours." A pause. Then, "Honey, I've watched this for years." Not surprise, not shock, just quiet confirmation. Something breaks inside me. The tears come suddenly, hot and unstoppable. "I thought if I gave enough, they'd see me," I whisper. Margaret's voice is gentle but firm. "What if you stopped giving?" The question hangs in the air. I've never considered it before, the possibility of simply stopping. The thought is both terrifying and strangely liberating. After we hang up, I open my text messages. I rarely look back at old conversations, but tonight I scroll through the family group chat, then the private messages between my siblings. There it is, a conversation from 3 weeks ago that I wasn't included in. "Graham, need $300 for this weekend. Can you spot me?" Delaney, broke until payday. Ask Renata, she'll cover it like always. Graham, already using her card for the ATVs. She won't notice the extra charge, she never checks. Delaney, must be nice to have no life and all that overtime money. The phone trembles in my hand. I feel something unfamiliar building in my chest, thought and fierce. I recognize it after a moment. Rage. Pure, undiluted rage. With steady fingers, I dial the customer service number on the back of my credit card. Fraud department, please, I say when the automated system asks for my selection. A woman answers, her voice professional. Fraud department, this is Jennifer. How may I assist you today? I take a deep breath. I need to report unauthorized charges on my account. I spend the next 40 minutes providing details, card numbers, dates, amounts, transaction IDs. All the while, I'm taking screenshots of text messages, forwarding emails, organizing my evidence with the same methodical precision I bring to my job at the warehouse. Ms. Harris, Jennifer says, her voice softening. Based on the information you've provided, this appears to be deliberate fraud. Yes, I reply, my voice steady for the first time today. I believe it is. After the call ends, I sit in silence for several minutes. Then I open my laptop again and book the motel room for a second night. Whatever comes next, I won't be running home tonight. The path forward is still unclear, but one thing has crystallized in my mind. I am done being invisible. My phone vibrates against the motel nightstand at 7:18 a.m. next morning. I stare at the ceiling, counting the water stains while it buzzes 5 times before falling silent. The quiet lasts exactly 43 seconds before it starts again. I roll over and squint at the screen. Mom. Again. 12 missed calls since dawn. 4 from Mom, 5 from Graham, 3 from Delaney. I silence the ringer and push myself upright, feeling the scratch of cheap sheets against my legs. The voicemail notification blinks. I press play and hold the phone slightly away from my ear. Renata, it's Mom. Are you still coming for Sunday dinner? Your father wants pot roast and you know how he gets when we change the menu. Call me back. Not a word about the cabin. Not a single question about where I spent the night or if I'm okay. Just pot roast and expectations. My phone pings with a text from Delaney. Can you pick up my prescription on your way? I'll pay you back. I actually laugh out loud, the sound harsh in the empty room. 3 months ago, I would have driven across town, paid the $58.75 for her migraine medication, and forgotten about it by nightfall. The familiar script. Of course, don't worry about it. Today, I type, no. I press send before I can change my mind. My finger hovers over the screen, waiting for the guilt to flood in. Instead, I feel something unfamiliar, a lightness, as if I've set down a heavy suitcase I've been carrying for years. My email notification chimes. Graham's name appears with the subject line, Business Opportunity Investors Needed. I delete it without reading. The bank fraud department opens at 9. I shower, dress, and pack my overnight bag methodically. The folder of financial records sits on the passenger seat as I drive across town. At 9:30, I am at the office. Miss Harris? The investigator is a woman about my age, with silver-streaked hair pulled into a neat bun. Her nameplate reads Valerie Winters. I've reviewed the documentation you submitted online. Please, have a seat. I unzip my folder and begin laying out the evidence. Bank statements, screenshots of text messages, credit card receipts. All organized by date, highlighted and annotated. This is... She pauses, eyes widening slightly as she flips through the pages. This is extraordinarily thorough, Miss Harris. I keep records, I say simply. Most family fraud victims struggle to come forward, she says, her voice gentle. They worry about family loyalty, about what others will think. The documentation is usually emotional, scattered. I meet her eyes. I'm not most victims anymore. Something shifts in her expression, a flash of recognition, maybe respect. She nods once, then reaches for a formal complaint form. You understand this will likely result in criminal charges against your brother? Yes. My voice doesn't waver. An hour later, I walk out with case numbers and copies of the official fraud report. The weight of the papers in my hand feels substantial, real. I've spent my life carrying other people's burdens. Today, I'm carrying proof. Detective Simmons meets me at the police station just after lunch. He's older, with weathered hands and eyes that have seen too much. We retrieved the texts from your brother's phone, he says without preamble. There's quite a history here. He slides a printout across the desk. Graham's messages to Delaney from last weekend jump out at me. Don't worry, Renata won't notice the card. She always pays. We deserve a family weekend without her hovering. She's good for something after all. I press my fingertips against the cool surface of the desk, focusing on the sensation to keep my voice steady. Thank you for confirming this. Detective Simmons watches me carefully. This kind of betrayal. It's not easy, especially from family. No, I agree. It's not. When I leave, my hands aren't trembling anymore. Next day, Grandpa Harris's apartment building hasn't changed in the 3 years since his death. The super recognizes me, offers condolences even after all this time. I tell him I need to check something in storage. Unit 12B, right? Your brother was here a couple weeks back. Nice to see you kids still checking on things. My stomach tightens. Graham was here? Sure was. Said he was picking up some family photos. The storage unit is neat, just as I left it last time. Grandpa's fishing tackle, his collection of Western paperbacks, the cardboard boxes of Christmas ornaments he insisted we keep. The antique cherry wood box that held his watch is exactly where it should be, on the middle shelf beside his service medals. I lift it carefully, already knowing what I'll find. Empty. I close my eyes briefly, feeling the smooth wood under my fingers. Grandpa had placed it in my hands on my 35th birthday. For you, Renata. The only one who visits without wanting something. The only one who listens to my stories. A folded receipt flutters from beneath the box. Hastings Pawn, dated 16 days ago. Graham's sloping handwriting on the back. $650 cash. The pawn shop is 6 blocks away, so I walk. Mr. Hastings remembers the watch. Beautiful piece. Hamilton 1954. Sold 2 weeks ago. Can't get it back now, sorry. My eyes burn as I touch the empty case one last time before tucking it into my purse. An hour later, I met my aunt. Coffee? Aunt Meredith asks when I meet her at Carter's Cafe. She looks like my father around the eyes, but there's a gentleness to her that he lacks. You look like you could use something stronger, but it's not even 3 o'clock. Coffee's fine. I settle into the booth across from her. Thank you for meeting me. She wraps her hands around her mug. I heard about what happened. With the cabin. News travels fast. Your mother called me, ranting about ungrateful children and police reports. She hesitates. Renata, I heard them planning to use your card for ATVs. I didn't say anything. I should have. The validation washes over me like warm water, loosening something tight in my chest. All these years, wondering if I was crazy, if I was imagining the pattern. Why didn't you? I ask, not accusingly. Family loyalty. She sighs. The Harris curse. We protect our own, even from each other. She reaches across the table, her hand covering mine. I've got a spare room if you need it. No strings. I look up, surprised by the unexpected offer, by the genuine support behind it. Thank you, I say, and for the first time in years, I feel what family is supposed to feel like. Next week, on Sunday, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, the folder labeled Family Financial Support clutched against my chest. The woman staring back at me looks different, somehow back straighter, jaw set, eyes clear despite the sleepless night. This ends today, I whisper to my reflection, practicing the words that have been building inside me for days. This ends today. Margaret sits on the edge of my bathtub, watching me with a mixture of pride and concern. Remember, when they try to make you the villain and they will just keep breathing. She adjusts the collar of my simple blue blouse. No reaction is sometimes the strongest statement. I nod, sliding the folder into my tote bag. I've chosen clothes that wouldn't stand out straight-leg jeans, sensible flats, a blouse in a color that doesn't draw attention. No more dressing to impress people who never really see me. What if I lose my nerve? The question slips out before I can stop it. Margaret stands, placing her hands firmly on my shoulders. Then you look at this. She taps the corner of the folder peeking from my bag. Every receipt is a time they took from you. Every number is a boundary they crossed. You deserve better, Renata. The drive to my parents' house takes 23 minutes, the same as always. Nothing has changed in the neighborhood where I grew up. The same oak trees line the street. The same cracked sidewalk I used to ride my bike on. The same brass knocker on the red front door. But everything has changed inside me. I walk in without knowing a family tradition that suddenly feels invasive. The smell of pot roast fills the air, mixing with the pine sol my mother has used since I was a child. Sunday dinner, right on schedule. There she is, my father calls from his recliner, eyes never leaving the television screen. Thought maybe you forgot. My mother appears from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Can you help with the potatoes? They need mashing, and you always get the lumps out better than I do. Graham lounges on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He glances up briefly. Hey, did you see the scratch on my car? Some jerk in a parking lot. Gonna cost a fortune to fix. Delaney emerges from the hallway, already holding out her empty water glass for me to refill, a habit so ingrained she doesn't even ask anymore. The normalcy is surreal. Like actors hitting their marks in a play I've suddenly stopped believing in. Actually, I say, my voice coming out steadier than I expected, I need to talk to everyone. In the living room. Now. Something in my tone makes my mother pause. She exchanges a quick glance with my father, who mutes the television with obvious reluctance. Can it wait until after dinner? My mother asks. The roast will dry out. No, I answer, walking to the coffee table at the center of the room. It can't. I place the folder down with deliberate care. The sound it makes against the glass tabletop seems unnaturally loud in the sudden silence. This, I say, standing while they all remain seated, is what I've paid for in this family. I open the folder with steady hands. Inside, 5 years of receipts are organized by person color-coded tabs, separating the evidence of my invisible giving. Graham's section is the thickest, followed closely by my parents'. What is this? My father asks, leaning forward with narrowed eyes. Every loan that wasn't repaid, every emergency I covered, every vacation I funded. I turn to the last page, where a final sum is highlighted in yellow. $14,632. Graham laughs, but the sound falls flat. Always keeping score, aren't you? That's your problem, Renata. You give with one hand and hold a calculator in the other. My mother reaches for my arm. Honey, family helps family. We would do the same for you if you needed it. But I have needed it, I reply, not moving away but not leaning into her touch either. I've needed to be seen, to be included, to be respected. My father stands, color rising in his face. You've always been too sensitive, making mountains out of molehills. This is what families do, they support each other without counting pennies. Delaney's eyes fill with tears. I didn't know about the cabin, I swear. They told me you couldn't make it. Her tears would have worked on me once. Would have sent me rushing to comfort her, to smooth things over. Not today. Turn to the last tab, I say, my voice quiet but firm. My father flips to it reluctantly. His face changes as he sees the official bank letterhead. What is this? He demands, though the answer is clearly printed at the top of the page. A fraud report. I answer, watching as Graham's face drains of color. The unauthorized charges on my card, the ATVs, the cabin. The police will be contacting you directly, Graham. You wouldn't dare, my father says, taking a threatening step toward me. We're your family. She already has, Aunt Meredith says from the doorway. I hadn't heard her arrive, but her presence steadies me. I told her what I heard about the cabin plan. It's over. You had no right, my mother whispers, but I can't tell if she's speaking to me or to Aunt Meredith. I had every right, I say, picking up my bag. It was my money, my trust, my card. Graham stands, hands raised in placation. Come on, Ren, we can work this out. It was just a misunderstanding. I was going to pay you back. Like you paid me back for the DUI attorney? Or the business investment? Or the emergency root canal? I shake my head. I don't believe you anymore. I turn and walk toward the door, feeling strangely light despite the chaos erupting behind me. My mother calls my name. My father shouts something about family loyalty. Delaney sobs dramatically. But for the first time in my life, I keep walking. Aunt Meredith falls into step beside me as we head down the porch steps. Neither of us speaks until we reach my car. You did good in there, she says finally. I take a deep breath of the cool evening air. I know. And for once, I actually do. The locksmith charges me extra for the Sunday service call later that day, but I hand over my credit card without hesitation. Money well spent. All set, ma'am, he says, handing me 3 shiny new keys. Nobody's getting in unless you want them to. I watch him pack his tools with methodical precision. This stranger has given me something my family never did: respect for my boundaries. Thanks for coming on short notice, I tell him, tucking 2 keys into my wallet and hanging the third on my key rack. He nods, sensing something in my voice. Sometimes new locks are the first step to a fresh start. After he leaves, I stand in the center of my apartment, listening to the unfamiliar silence. No phone chiming with demands. No knot in my stomach anticipating the next family crisis. Just the steady tick of the kitchen clock and the soft hum of the refrigerator. Next morning, the silence breaks with my phone's vibration against the coffee table. My mother's name flashes on the screen, followed by her voicemail notification. I pour myself a cup of coffee and sit at my small dining table before pressing play. Renata Lynn Harris. Her voice trembles with righteous indignation. How could you do this to us? To your own family? After everything we've done for you? Your father hasn't slept. Delaney's been crying all night. Is this how we raised you to behave? Call me back immediately. I delete it without a twinge of remorse and sip my coffee. Black. No sugar the way I actually prefer it. Not the cream and 2 sugars I've pretended to like at every family gathering because Mom once decided that's how I take it. Graham's message comes next, his voice unnaturally controlled. Hey, it's me. Look, this whole thing is just a misunderstanding. Call the bank and tell them it was authorized. We can work this out between us without getting others involved. Don't let this get out of hand, sis. The casual sis lands like a slap. After taking my money, my time, my dignity, he still expects me to fold. Delaney's message arrives while I'm washing my mug. You're tearing this family apart. Her voice cracks with theatrical sobs. Mom and Dad are devastated. Graham might lose his job if this goes on his record. How can you be so selfish? We're your family. I place the clean mug on the drying rack, noticing how steady my hands are. These guilt trips once would have sent me scrambling to make things right, to smooth the family waters regardless of the cost to myself. Now they sound hollow, like badly delivered lines from a community theater production I've seen too many times. My phone rings again. Detective Simmons. I answer on the second ring. Miss Harris? I have some updates if you have a moment. I do. I settle onto my couch, tucking my feet beneath me. We've filed the official fraud charges against your brother. The documentation you provided was extremely helpful. He pauses. There's something else you should know. We found evidence of other victims. The air leaves my lungs in a rush. What do you mean, other victims? Your brother appears to have used cards belonging to your aunt, your grandfather before he passed, and 2 colleagues. We're still building the case, but the pattern is consistent. I press my palm against my forehead. My grandfather too? I had no idea. Most people don't report family fraud. You were right to come forward. His voice holds no judgment, only professional certainty. We'll need you to come in tomorrow to sign some additional paperwork. After hanging up, I sit motionless, processing this new information. Graham hadn't just exploited me, had made it a habit, a lifestyle. The scope of his betrayal stretches beyond what even I had imagined. My phone buzzes with a text from a cousin I haven't spoken to in months. Heard what's happening. Family is forever. You need to make this right. 10 minutes later, my uncle calls. I let it go to voicemail. Renata, it's Uncle Jim. Your father asked me to talk some sense into you. This isn't how we handle things in this family. We take care of our own problems. Call your dad and apologize before this gets any worse. The messages continue through the afternoon, flying monkeys dispatched to pull me back into line. Each one strengthens my resolve instead of weakening it. Evening brings a notification from social media I've been tagged in a post. My mother has shared an old family photo with a lengthy caption about supporting loved ones through mental health struggles and praying for those who lash out when in pain. The comments overflow with sympathy for her and concern for my breakdown. I close the app and block each family member methodically, one by one. With each block, my breathing comes easier. The final assault comes as I'm preparing for bed. A call from the warehouse's night supervisor. Renata, sorry to bother you at home. A man claiming to be your father showed up demanding to speak with you. Said it was a family emergency. Security escorted him out, but I thought you should know. Thank you for handling that, Jim. I'm sorry you had to deal with it. No problem. Everything okay? It will be. For the first time, I actually believe it. I sleep soundly that night, waking only once when my phone buzzes with a bank notification. A deposit, $1,300 from my parents. No message attached. The old Renata would have seen this as an olive branch, the beginning of forgiveness. The new Renata recognizes it for what it is, a transaction meant to purchase my silence and compliance. I leave the money untouched. It can sit there indefinitely. I no longer need their approval or their attempts at financial reconciliation. Morning brings an email from Graham's attorney, attempting to intimidate me into dropping charges. By afternoon, a certified letter arrives from my father's lawyer, outlining the consequences of my continued hostility, including exclusion from the family trust and future gatherings. I draft a single-sentence response. I've already been excluded. Standing at my mailbox, letter in hand, I feel the last of their control dissolve. The chains weren't just financial, they were psychological, wrapped so tightly around my sense of self that I couldn't see where they ended and I began. Now I see clearly. Now I stand free, keys to my new locks heavy in my pocket, solid and real as the boundaries I've finally learned to build. In 2 months I am going to keep this peace. The salt-kissed breeze catches my hair as I struggle with the last box from my car. 2 months have passed since I stood frozen on that empty cabin porch, and today I'm unpacking in a different world entirely. My coastal Maine cottage isn't much weathered cedar shingles, a sagging porch that faces the Atlantic, windows that stick in humid weather, but it's mine in ways my old apartment never was. I set the box labeled kitchen on the worn pine floor and step onto the porch. The ocean stretches before me, vast and constantly moving. Nothing like the mountains that witnessed my awakening. Those peaks held still, silent observers to my pain. This ocean breathes, shifts, changes, like I'm learning to do. Need a hand with anything else? Calls Meredith from the driveway. My aunt insisted on driving up from Pennsylvania to help with the move. Another box balances against her hip. Just that one, I answer, my voice carrying over the crash of waves. Then we're officially done. Working at Coastal Distribution Partners means fewer overtime hours than my old warehouse job. Less money too, but something shifted inside me after the cabin. Time suddenly became more valuable than extra dollars in an account that others drained. Inside, I run my fingers along the secondhand guitar I bought last week. The instrument waits in the corner, strings still new and tight. I haven't played since high school talent shows, before college applications and practical decisions took priority, before I understood that being useful to others had become my only purpose. This place suits you, Meredith says, setting down the final box. Her eyes crinkle with approval. I can actually see you here. See me? The phrase catches in my chest like a fishhook. That evening, after Meredith leaves for her hotel, I sit cross-legged on my porch with a mug of tea cooling beside me. My phone buzzes with a text from Dr. Winters confirming tomorrow's therapy appointment. 6 sessions in, and I'm finally beginning to understand the pattern I lived for decades. I'm learning that worth isn't measured in what you give others. I told her last week, the words feeling foreign yet true on my tongue. She nodded, her silver hair catching the light. And what are you measuring it by now? I couldn't answer then. Perhaps tomorrow I'll have words for the quiet strength growing inside me. My phone buzzes again. Another text, this one from Delaney. Miss you. Starting to understand some things. Call sometime? I set the phone down without responding. Not from anger anymore, but from a place of careful consideration. Aunt Meredith mentioned last week that Graham is doing community service. Apparently the fraud charges stuck, though the judge was lenient. My parents haven't spoken to me since I walked out of their house that Sunday. Folder of receipts left deliberately on their coffee table. I don't rush to answer Delaney. Healing happens on my timeline now. The weekend forecast calls for sunshine, and I've already booked a small cabin further up the coast just for myself. I scroll through the confirmation email, still feeling the slight thrill of spending money on my own joy without justification or apology. In my bedroom sits a folder identical to the one I left behind. I keep these receipts not as a grudge, but as a reminder. Evidence of a life spent trying to purchase love with overtime shifts and secondhand sacrifices. Rising from the porch, I step inside and face the mirror hanging in my narrow hallway. For the first time in months, perhaps years, I recognize the woman looking back. Her smile comes slowly but genuinely, reaching eyes that no longer search for approval. Tomorrow evening, I'll attend my second storytelling group at the community center. There, surrounded by neighbors who know nothing of my past, I speak words that are solely mine. No family script to follow. No expectation to fulfill. For now, though, I pick up the guitar, settling its unfamiliar weight against my body. My fingers remember more than my mind as they find chords buried under years of neglect. The sound carries through open windows to blend with waves against the shore, both of us learning new rhythms, both of us finding our way home.